Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Street Art Toronto's and Muse Art's Health and Wellness panel series. My name is Michael Hutchinson, and I use the pronouns he and him. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for joining us today for the panel series. To start us off, I'd like to start by offering a land acknowledgement. Panel series. We believe that we do this work. We must first commit ourselves and continue on the path of reclamation, healing, and most especially truth. We make a commitment to being an ally, to ask questions, to listen, to learn, to understand our privilege, and to achieve the reconciliation we must all help achieve. We strive to form a new relationship with the original peoples of the land, one based on honor, trust, and respect. The land I'm standing on today is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I'd like to take this time to introduce our small but mighty team at Street Art Toronto that consists of myself along with Catherine Campbell, Jason Campbell, Carolyn Taylor, and our manager, Randy McLean. And I'll now pass it off to my colleague, Catherine Campbell, to give a brief background about Street Art Toronto and what we're all about.
Thanks so much, Michael. Street Art Toronto is an initiative of the City of Toronto's Transportation Services Division and consists of a suite of innovative programs intentionally designed to showcase, celebrate, and to support street art, mural and graffiti artists throughout the City of Toronto. START programs and projects are rooted in a set of values that demonstrate the positive and powerful impacts of diversity and inclusion, foster community engagement and civic pride, add color and vitality to neighborhoods, encourage active transportation, showcase Toronto artists and contribute to their skills, development, mentorship, and emerging talent, and create opportunities for positive engagement amongst residents, business owners, and operators, and artists and arts organizations. We are thrilled to be in this space with you this afternoon, and thank you so much to Muse Arts. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Jason Campbell.
Thank you very much, Catherine and Michael. Working with community partners, Muse Arts creates spaces for emerging artists from the equity-seeking groups to showcase their work, to access opportunities for professional development, and to engage communities meaningfully and actively in hands-on, high-quality arts education integrated to issues of social justice. In 2020, Muse Arts partnered with Street Art Toronto as part of the Street Art Toronto Partnership Program to create a project to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Earls Court Park. The community mural was painted by Alex Usquiano and assisted by a group of local artists in a design created with neighborhood participation. We are honored to continue this work with Muse Arts and look forward to the conversation today. Paola is a trained human rights lawyer, community organizer, public speaker, community artist, and writer. A member of PEN Canada's Writers in Exile and an advocate, Paola is involved in causes such as ending violence against women and forced migration. Paola is the co-founder and director of Muse Arts and the creator, director, and producer of Happening Multicultural Festival. Paola's work with refugee and newcomer communities have been greatly recognized in Canada, where she arrived as a refugee. Paola's community arts work focuses on community and peace building. Paola is currently a professor at Centennial College and a 2021 Toronto Public Library Entrepreneur in Residence. Without further ado, please welcome Paola Gomez from Muse Arts.
Jason, thank you very much for the introduction. I am very, very happy that we are here today. I am extremely glad that we are opening the space for this conversation, a conversation that will allow us to learn about each other and from each other, and recognize that we need to create a space to talk about mental health and wellness. These spaces are especially crucial right now because we are in the middle of a public health crisis, and we know that we all are exhausted. It has been over 13 months, but we know that we need to continue taking care of ourselves and taking care of our communities. So I encourage each one of you and each one of us to do everything that is possible to make sure that we are safe and everybody around us are safe as well. Before we welcome the speakers and we open this conversation, I want to express extreme gratitude to the small and mighty team of Street Art Toronto and the small and mighty team of Muse Arts for working together during the past 3-4 months to make sure that we bring this type of events to life and that we create a positive impact by having the conversations, normalizing the conversations, and creating a space to have diverse voices. Today, as I said, is especially important, and it's a topic that is absolutely close to home as well, relocation and mental health. And we are extremely lucky. We are lucky to have with us 3 talented, charismatic, and wonderful artists to talk about relocation. And when I say relocation, I want to make reference to the fact that we are going to explore the experience of migration, either by choice or by force. And we are aware that this topic is a big one. So we are trying to put together 2 big elements that are part of an individual's lives: the experience of migration and the experience of mental health. And so such a topic is as big as, as each one of us experiences. So therefore, we're going to create a space for us to have a conversation that we hope those who are tuning in can join us by connecting and commenting on the live stream. As you know, we are live streaming this event right now through, unfortunately, my personal profile, but it's already shared in the Muse Arts profile. And later on is going to be presented in the Muse Arts YouTube channels. And while I was navigating all these technical difficulties that of course need to happen just before you go live, I also took a moment to be aware of the fact that these things happen. That's what technology does to us, but also to be aware that it is okay. So with that, I also know that it is okay if you don't have the energy to be here with us right now, and that you can look at and be part of this conversation at a later moment when you are checking the recording. We also know that the conversations that we're holding are going to be extremely important because we bring the experiences and the knowledge of these 3 amazing panelists. And I'm going to tell you how that is going to work. Each panelist will, we will introduce each of them individually. They will take some time to share with us about their art form, their work. And then in a second round, we are going to talk about the influence of their migratory experience in their work, as well as the impact in wellness and mental health for their experience or from their views. I have shared with you a lot, but I want to say that please take the time to listen to what the panelists are sharing with us, and that this is not with the intention of saying what is a best practice, but to share the most wise practices and things that had worked for some of us. And without any further ado, I would love to introduce our first panelist for today, And I definitely want to bring up our presentation. And I'm very happy to welcome to this conversation Leone McComas is a Canadian-Nigerian visual artist, a muralist, and a designer based in Toronto. She's also a graduate from OCAD University. A muralist, as I said, she has presented her work locally and internationally. And in 2018, Leone received her Mural Route MACD certificate and has continued creating in the public realm. We are extremely, extremely happy that we have you here with us. And what an honor to be able to witness the beauty of your work and to have this opportunity to chat with you about your experience. But before we go into the use of the conversation, we definitely would like to take some time to hear about your work. And if you could share with us a bit of how your migratory experience influenced that work.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Paola. I guess I want to start by thanking MuseArts and StreetARToronto for inviting me to this panel. At first, I was a little like, me? Sometimes you kind of forget all the things that you go through. So I'm really honored to be on this panel, especially alongside Elsa and Christiano. I guess I will start with explaining the context around my background and how I ended up in Canada. I was born and raised in England, and then my family moved to Holland. And then from there, I decided that I wanted to study in Canada. And the decision came from me actually having my dad being Canadian. And for me, it was a way of connecting with a culture that I actually had very little experience with. So beyond visiting family every couple of years in Winnipeg, I actually didn't know much about Canada before coming. Beyond, sometimes it's hot in the summer, sometimes it's extremely cold in the winter. My mom is Nigerian and British. So she is actually a second generation British, but her parents migrated to England from Nigeria, and she also spent time there. So my relationship to that culture is also quite distant. It's sort of like I grew up with all the stories and around communities within England. And so I had this sort of disconnected but connected experience of Nigerian culture through those events, through the food, through the culture, and through my extended family. When we were moved from all of that. Through a opportunity, my dad was able to move to Holland, and that's when I learned about what I, until recently, realized actually is a real thing. But I think growing up, that was a very kind of silly thing, but they call it third culture kid. It's when you spend your formative years in a culture that you don't have any connection to, like no heritage, and you don't have a parent from that culture. And one of those things, and the reason why I bring that up, that I thought was really interesting, is that when kids grow up in a country that they don't have that kind of affinity for, I guess. I mean, you grow an affinity, but you don't have the same reason, I guess. Terrible way of saying it, but what ends up happening is that you're not actually rooted in places, and you're not rooted in culture. What ends up happening is that you kind of transfer that and you become rooted in people and community. And I think this has impacted my work in ways in which I would say my focus is always on the people and on the person. Well, it's on people as a group, I guess. It's how I look at cultures, just understanding that from a perspective of not being part of it and understanding how different cultures are very different. It's a strange one. Yeah, it's like being able to look at a culture. And I think this is kind of I would say it's the benefit of not being part of a culture is and being introduced and migrating. You get to experience it from your own lens and from an outside perspective. So you get to experience all these things that a lot of people actually take for granted or don't even realize that they're there. And when I moved to Canada in 2008, so I've been here for a bit, I moved here alone, so I didn't actually move with family. And then it was more like, yes, setting myself up. I'd love to share my screen. One of the two projects that I think, my most recent project that I think really exhibits this is my portrait and landscape series called Black and Reflective. Black and Reflective is, for me, it's a way of exploring my Nigerian and Black identity and understanding. For me, it's like I have things that that I've experienced and that I'm processing, things that I understand and don't understand. And I guess also because I've seen Black culture in different places, I wanted to share that each person has their own experience, and it's very, where it can seem kind of homogenous, it's actually so diverse, like even continent and country to country. So my project, I'll share the screen actually. Here we go. I recently installed this at Black and Reflective, at X-Space Cultural Center. So I've been kind of interviewing, but I would say like hanging out with specific people who are kind of in my circle, but not really, like people that I would see around, but not fully know. And I decided that I really wanted to understand what Black identity is from their perspective and how they saw and how they experienced and what they held on to and what they didn't. And so I really talked to 4 people and tried to not translate it, but kind of share what I experienced and how that changed my perspective on what Black identity kind of means or can mean and how it can be experienced. So I'll just scroll through some images. I tend to like to combine murals and oil paintings because I find that it makes it very immersive. And one of the fun things about this project for me was how full circle it came. It was actually a very difficult project to do because sometimes you go into a thing, you think you're doing one thing, then you realize that the work you're producing actually says you're doing something completely different. And I had to kind of reconcile with that. But it came to this full circle where I realized, even though the paintings are so abstract and they focus on different things that are and maybe aren't even really important, it came full circle in that I was able to share the photographs that I took when we were actually hanging out and talking about life and like what they enjoyed and sharing whatever that they decided that they wanted to share about their life. And so here are the 4 people. It's Nye and James and Raquel and Timothy. Well, there's a lot of photos, so I'm just going to quickly scroll through. And then I actually did a virtual site for this. This is installed, no one gets to see it because COVID. But this is the website that I built. And this is my rationale for it. So it's partially where I came from and how I grew up, but it's also like my understanding of people, and just my belief that everybody, for me, is made in the image of God. And so everyone is, I don't know, worthy of love and respect, just automatically. So the website that I built is, I don't know, made on Wix. I highly recommend. So yeah, I try to take everyone through that experience where I asked questions and I painted them. I listened first, then I painted them, and then I asked more questions. What did I miss? Where did I go? Where did I take it? What did I focus on? So I'll take you through James's, and hopefully I'm not going over time. Please let me know if I am. So yeah, here is the website, and I did some sketches, and then I asked the questions, and then I did some reflection as well on what the conversation meant and what I found interesting about how they related. Sometimes we don't even want to relate to things because it's so hard to unpack. Sometimes it's actually difficult to have to constantly review yourself through frameworks. Sometimes that takes labor that people really just don't have time. And when I say time, I really mean like the energy that it takes. And sometimes you don't really want to go through those places and understand how these things impact you. So yeah, that's how I would say that has impacted my work. And I guess another project would be Unknown Landscapes, which was just how my spirituality has grounded me, but also like how it's just always kind of at work. And I see that's it. Thank you so much.
This is absolutely, your work is absolutely breathtaking. And I really appreciate and thank you so much for taking us into your journey and also making these connections of intersectionalities with other aspects of your identity. This is extremely powerful, and I also know that it has an impact, because it's also a journey of discovery and self-discovery. And this also brings me to a conversation that we had a few months ago with our friend Julian, who's also here, and is that these aspects of, being of many places also make us wonder, where do I belong, right? And so, which is the constant of those of us who deal and experience relocation. So I really appreciate that very much, and I'm looking forward to the conversations that we're going to have when we unpack all this. So thank you very much for this. It is absolutely powerful. Your work is just amazing, and I can feel the tranquility and the calm that comes with your colors, but also the vulnerability that comes with them. So very much appreciated. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next panelist. And Elsa Hashimi is a visual artist with an BA in English language and an MB in photography. As a photographer, Elsa uses her talents and skills to support artists in documenting their artwork. Elsa also creates artist portfolios in photo books. She has worked with the StreetARToronto, the City of Toronto, and with several arts organizations, as well as with private schools. Elsa, welcome into this space. We are extremely grateful that you are here with us we have another piece that you presented to us when we asked you for your materials, but I feel that that element that you share with us, we will share a little bit later, as it connects to the absolutely topic of today. I absolutely love the statement, and we'll definitely take the time to explore this with you, but welcome again. And I will propose the exact same question, and it is how your migration experience, your experience of migration has influenced your work, if it has in any way, you know, from the aesthetics, from the to the concept. So if you want to walk us through and share with us your experience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paula. So like dear Leone, I want to thank everyone, especially StreetARToronto, Catherine, Jason, Michael, Julian, Paula, everybody for always supporting me and everyone. So I'm gonna start with the same thing. So I was raised and born in a very, let's say, a Muslim country, in a very religious country. So it was really difficult for us because it was, the religion was not our choice. It was something mandatory. So we were forced to study a lot of stuff we didn't like to at the school. And especially as a woman, because gender is really important here. I can't say not that much these days because it's been changing a lot. But when I was a teenager, or when I was studying at a school or even university, to me, all humans were like, you know, males or females. But this was just femininity or masculinity that, let's say, the society or the politics or whatever made a big issue for us. And it was really difficult, I don't know, maybe for many people, but for me, myself, it was really difficult to do anything, especially art. So when I studied photography, even there were periods that I don't know, I was taking pictures in the streets and my camera was taken by some people because they didn't like us to have cameras in the street. But I'm saying again, and nowadays everything is different. It's not the same nowadays, but those days it was really difficult. So I wanted a big change actually, because whatever I was portraying in my pictures, I couldn't show. I couldn't have any exhibitions here because I had to censor a lot of stuff. So I decided to move to Canada because I wanted to have the freedom to show my work, to work with other people, to be exposed to other cultures. I really needed to be among other people to see how, I don't know, how life would be different there. Although it was very difficult because like Leone, I moved there alone. So I didn't know the streets, I didn't know the culture, I didn't know anything. And I just remember the first months, I started just looking up, I don't know, searching for anything that you can imagine, which is related to arts. I started taking the buses or just walking to different galleries to see the works, to talk to the people. It was really difficult, but it was good. I really, I don't know, but it was something different for me, especially because It was totally different from my culture. When I started to send my pictures to different, I don't know, galleries or different art organizations, because I was very new there. I didn't know what to do. I was just sending emails or whatever I could do. Even I walked to them and show my work. But I don't know, maybe because I was new or because some people didn't like my work, nobody accepted my works to be exhibited there. So what I started to do was just every day taking my camera with me and then walking in the street and taking pictures of me in the streets. So it's been 6 years that I've been in Toronto, and I can say every day I have a picture of me somewhere, I don't know, with most of the time during the, let's say, first 6 months, I was alone. So I didn't have any friends or family there, but except my cousin who supported me a lot. But it was the only thing I could do. And then later on, I was accepted in an interview in art gallery. So I started working there as an art coordinator, which opened a lot of ways for me, let's say, because I started to meet a lot of people that I can say, I don't know, I was doing event photography there. So there were a lot of events I was shooting. So in one of the events, one of the painters there asked me to document all his works, which were all painting. I was when I started my career as a documenter, let's say. And yeah, and later on, Catherine trusted me and I could join StreetARToronto and started documenting events in street art in, let's say, everything related to murals in Toronto. And then I started teaching at schools, and yeah, that's it. So it was a big change for me. And I could say it was totally different from where I was raised in. And everything was different, but it was a very good challenge, although difficult, but it was a good challenge for me.
Elsa, thank you very much for opening up to all of us, you know, those who are here in this meeting through Zoom, but also to everybody else that is out there connected with us through the live stream and later on in the YouTube. I think what I'm also hearing is your resiliency in your eagerness to receive everything that comes your way, and that is absolutely inspiring. I also appreciate so much that you took us into your journey that brought you to that place of documenting and also sharing your talents with other artists so they can also have visibility of their work and properly document their work. That is absolutely amazing. And I'm looking forward to the conversation that will follow. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now we are extremely happy to share with you and to introduce to you our next guest speaker in this panel, and this is Christiano Araujo. Christiano is a self-taught artist born in Brazil. His endeavors include drawing, oil and acrylic painting, airbrushing, cartooning, and sculpturing. Christiano is the founder of Toronto Artists Studio C.A, a studio of visual artists, designers, painters, digital artists, and sculptors focused in designing and producing murals, 3D art installations, and visual communications. And I am 100% sure you have seen the work of Christianos all over Toronto. We absolutely love it, and we are feeling absolutely happy that you're here with us, Christiano. Take us into your journey, how your experience of relocation has influenced your artistic practice. Christiano, we cannot hear you for some reason. Can you try again? Now I can hear you, but there is a sound. There is some sort of an interference there. Yes, still a lot of interference. Maybe if you have headphones, yes, if you want to sign in and out again, or any way you want to do it, that is absolutely fine. And folks at home, as you will understand, this type of situations happen. Everything was perfect just before entering into the live stream, but absolutely things change by the minute, you know, when we rely in technology and as much as we rely into these other aspects. We know that Christiano is still trying to figure out this, and we're definitely looking forward to learn from his experience, but also be a witness to his strength as well. Christiano, what we're going to do is that Paula is gonna call you, and so basically we're gonna guide you through how we can do this over the phone. So we are going to wait for that. Paula from Muse Arts is gonna call Christiano, and we are going to have his voice through the phone and have his wonderful presence through the live stream. So thank you very much for that, and we appreciate your patience on that. But while we continue the conversation, probably it's a good idea to bring Leone and Elsa back, and we invite you to come back. We invite Elsa and Leone back, if you can come to the main space, and so join me in conversation while we wait for Christiano. And this is part of what community is, and this is part of what it means for us to be part of a space where we recognize that we have to adapt, right? So I think now we have him. So let's see, Christiano, can you? Let's see. We're going to try this.
Yeah. Hi everyone. All right. Christiano, could you talk and we can see if this works?
Like this?
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I don't understand because I have the microphone on my camera, plus I have headsets. I don't know why it's working, and I'm mute here.
Yeah, that's working perfectly.
Well, that works perfectly, and this is the magic. This is definitely the magic of having creative people around you. So, Christiano, we are very happy that you're here. We're extremely happy that you're gonna take us through your own journey. So share with us how your migration experience influenced your art.
Well, first thing first, thank you so much for having this this event. I really appreciate considering me and stuff, and to hear my story as an immigrant, and to meet all you guys. Well, I was born and raised in Brazil. I was raised I just want to start a little bit in the beginning. So basically, my biological mom died when I was a 6-month-old baby, and she was 19 years old, and I was raised by my grandparents. And Brazil hasn't, it's a third world country, doesn't have much opportunities there. And I noticed I was very good at art and drawing since I was very young. I was a kid, and that's something I was passionate about it. And I knew that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. I knew in my heart. I already was firm that I want to be an artist when I grow up as an adult. So I keep having that, like that dream and that vision, to become an artist. And I noticed in Brazil there was not opportunities to make as an artist, which is very difficult, as everyone knows. So I start flirting the idea of leaving Brazil, coming to a first world country, which is Canada. And that was like when I was a teenager. So I worked really hard for many years until I was able to leave Brazil. And I was like 22 years old. That was like in mid-90s when I came here. So I came here to Toronto. It's absolutely nothing. I started from scratch, like absolutely from scratch. I had nothing. I only had a backpack. I had no English. I had no money, like zero money. I had no much life experience. I didn't have a family. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anyone that I could call to help me. And I show up in the airport like that. And I didn't even have an intercode either because I came here in February. So it was totally from scratch, like just like, like born again and as an adult in another country. But I found my way, to make connections and find a place to stay and getting work. Obviously not related to art because I didn't speak English. And then I was working odd jobs and working, cleaning and construction. And I worked for many, many years in construction as a laborer, as a bricklayer, labor for bricklayers. And then eventually I was able to start working as a bricklayer. And I did that for about 12 years. So I felt that was not my natural habitat. I was laying bricks, building houses and subdivision. I was paying my bills. But I knew it was not that I wanted to be and do for the rest of my life, become a bricklayer. And it's, for me, it was, like, I just want to be an artist. And that was like the dream from childhood. So I started working towards leaving construction and finding my way to the art scene, which was very difficult as well. So I find being immigrant, everything is twice as harder. Like, from anyone who, that's my opinion, okay? I know life can be hard for many people in many levels. Everyone has their struggles. I understand that. But I'm speaking about my struggle. I found that I had to work twice as hard. For example, I didn't speak English well. I had to learn the language. I didn't understand the culture. Like for years and years and years, I just didn't get the culture here. I had my own culture as Brazilian. And I mean, I would gather, it was easy to interact with other Brazilians because it's my own culture. But at the moment I go to interact with different cultures and people from different countries, there's a difference there. So I have to overcome that. Not overcome, but learn that. Even until today, I still hold my Brazilian culture myself. And although I understand a lot about the Canadian culture here and in other cultures. So the culture was something as well, a challenge. The language was a challenge. Another thing was a lot of challenge for me too was like the process that I had to acquire my Canadian citizenship, which I had to work really hard because I came here on my own. I didn't come here with my family. And not having a family as well. Sometimes I would feel lonely and sad. I didn't have a family. Or if I get sick, I didn't have anybody to help me, which I got sick several times. And, you know, I started relying just making good friends, you know, having friends, which I call family. So until today, until this exact moment right now, I have these good friends, which I call family. So for me, this is all challenges. And for many years, you know, I'm feeling like really, you know, like really sad about all those troubles and challenges to overcome, those adversities. And that also stopped me from my success, you know, not able to make the connections, not able to find my way, you know, into the artwork, not having a mentor, you know. And then eventually I start, you know, like slowly, step by step, you know, like getting things done, you know, like, I mean, I start, you know, painting more, drawing more, and creating my portfolio, and start showing to people, to clients, to galleries, you know, and then I got my Canadian citizenship, which was, you know, a big deal as well, helped me a lot, and making more connections. And then eventually I started slowly getting work, you know, and sometimes I had to go back to the construction job to help pay the bills. You know, this is like a 20 years journey, guys. It's not like something like a 1 year's journey. This is like 20 years, okay, until I was able to establish myself as a full-time artist. So, you know, and then time passed, you know, and then at one point, you know, you're getting old, and then, you know, and then you had this journey. So, I mean, I'm grateful for this challenge that makes me a stronger person and taught me a lot, you know, and, you know, and gave me, you know, just enlightened my soul, you know, and make me a better person. You know, it builds me, you know, a better, you know, makes me build character, and, you know, and makes me stronger. And, you know, it just, I mean, I wouldn't be the man I am today if I didn't go through this, right? So I'm grateful for that. But I'm just saying it was difficult, you know. I mean, I wish I could have a little bit, you know, a bit easier way, which I didn't, you know, and some other aspect, you know. For me, like I said, it's being here alone as an immigrant. It's not easy. It's very hard, you know. I mean, I meet a lot of people out there, like people who are not artists, but they are immigrants, and sometimes they have a little bit sort of like a miserable life, you know. It's just hard. I know a lot of people. I have friends. They talk about it. They talk about the challenge they have, and they do jobs they don't like. They do jobs they hate it, and they're not, you know, completely like 100% happy. Like, one thing I'm grateful to, that I fought to do a job that I love. I'm very grateful for that, and I had the courage to pursue my dreams. A lot of people don't have it, and I had the courage. And now, after all these years of struggles, I'm now doing what I love, you know. Thanks God, and thanks for myself too, to fighting for this and going after my dream, you know. And also help of you know, I also thank for the universe, and then Canada, and then the connection that I had, and people that helped me along the way, you know. And StreetARToronto is amazing because they help us. They create this program, you know. Like, I've been doing art for many years before StreetARToronto started here in Toronto, and I was already, like, you know, creating, producing art and working for the artists. And then I was very grateful to, you know, to see start coming up in this program and helping us artists, because there's many of us out there that can't make a living to our, you know, to our art. So I'm thankful for everything, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of my story. I mean, I would like to answer all the questions too. Is there?
Yes, absolutely. Well, Christiano, thank you very much. I'm expressing my gratitude for you not to stop dreaming and fighting for your dreams, because it's thanks to that process and in that consistency that we as communities get the privilege to see your work out and about in Toronto, and that is extremely powerful. You create art that speaks to our communities. I actually live very close to one of your larger murals, and I absolutely love it because you have the sensitivity to translate the spirit of a community, and I absolutely love that. And I'm very grateful to be in this space, connecting with you and hearing this story, which definitely reflects the importance of this type of spaces that we are creating. And I believe that with this conversation, you know, and again, I will invite our two panelists into the space again, as we continue the conversation and take from those initial reactions that you have given us. You all spoke about the fact that you came into this country, into these new communities by yourselves. So you came alone. So isolation takes such a big place in how we interact with the world, but also how our mental health gets impacted. I also heard the many interactions that we are sharing here. And I will place this question back. And again, I will invite Elsa and Leone to come back into the main screen and share with us this aspect of this intersectionality, you know, of all these elements, you know, identity, race, nationality, family status, and also we are talking about the different journeys of three amazing artists that we admire so much, but that have come into this country at different times, you know, and so with different challenges that presenting in the way. So I would like to ask, and I will start with Elsa, if you would like to answer this, and then we will give the space to Leone and Christiano to respond as well, is how, you know, that experience of migration and those moments, you know, in staying here, doing probably works that you didn't want to do, struggling to find that community that will be a network, how that will have an impact on an individual's mental health and general well-being.
Actually, what I can say is, although we were alone, all of us moved to Toronto alone, but I guess one of the most important things that we had was ourselves. So it was very big, you know, we had ourselves. I had me as something that as Christiano said, we wanted to fight for what is me, you know. So it was really difficult, as everybody said, because we didn't have anyone around us. But what it was, let's say, important to me was taking care of myself, my mind, and not lose hope. So that's why I started taking pictures every day, because it was something that it was the only thing that made my mind very peaceful and calm, and let's say made me fight for what I wanted to be. But I could say mental health was something that actually it is something that many people who immigrate don't think about. Everybody think about where they wanted to move to, or what documents everybody wants to take with themselves, or what schools, or what let's say major they're going to study, but nobody thinks about mental health, which is the most important factor, like homesickness or isolation, as you said. I guess everybody needs to find something that is really important for them and fight for it. Even if we do something else besides, for example, doing sales or what Christiano said. So many of us, because we want to survive, because we want to live there, and the currency is different, everything is different from our country. So we have to do some stuff that we don't like, but on the side, we need to fight for something that we really love to, and it works. If we try, it really works, especially in Canada. I met a lot of amazing people like you, all of you. They trust you. So they see your work, they trust you, and they find a way to help you, or if you do well, everybody comes see your work. So you have to be the best of you in order for the other people to come see your work, or to get familiar with you. This is, I guess, the most important thing I can say. That maybe helped me or saved me.
Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom. I think you make reference to such a very important part that is part of the migration experience, and is that we come with our hands and our hearts full of hope, and that keep us going. So thank you very much for that. Leone, how about you? What is your comment? What are your comments on this?
I think just hearing everyone's story, I was actually really touched by, especially you, Christiano, when you were talking about how what you went through grew your character. And Elsa, like the amount of resilience it takes to relocate. And I have to second this. Like even, I think for myself, one of the things that hit me first when I moved to Canada was you can be the most independent person and the strongest person. But at some point, it hits you where you realize that what you really need, there'll be points when you really need someone to talk to and you don't have that relationship yet with anybody. And yeah, even just like you come to Canada and you have all these ideas of how it's going to go. And I definitely came with my art dreams and just being like, yes, you know, I have the talent, I can do this. I think my head was a bit bigger at that point. And I like entered into this country being like, I'm going to make it, or it's going to be a fun adventure. Not so much I'm going to make it, but it's going to be a fun adventure. And granted, because I came here as a young adult, also it was, I didn't really understand the amount of work that goes into building an art career. And I think regardless, it takes work, but you really do have to work harder. And there are levels, obviously, to how hard you have to work. We have different barriers. And I would say that the biggest one was, for me, was not knowing anyone and having trouble forming those connections. But it was, I think it depends where you move as well. Like Canada is quite interesting because Canada it's North America. I think in Europe, people and cultures are very much interwoven because of the EU. So I don't know how that's going to go going forward, but in a way, because everyone understands and moves around so much, you could just get a job in another country and it would be like, oh, you have the qualifications? Cool. Automatic kind of trust in a way. In Canada, if you don't have Canadian work experience, you are so dependent on someone taking that chance on you. And Elsa, you mentioned it, it's just like that one person, it really just took one person being like, hey, do you want to be part of this? Or you apply and they're like, well, I think you could do this. But yeah, that opens so many doors. And I would say that even though there is this kind of tentativeness about connecting with people and making friends, and I feel like this is changing, but even though there's that tentativeness, one thing that I love about Canadians is that when you do become a friend with a Canadian, it's like they already decided that you're their friend. So I think in like when things are a bit more in flux, you're not really used to that as well. So you're like, oh, we're like friends, and like that I value a lot. So it took a different kind of like, I think when I started school, I thought, you know, you're in classes. But I think like it was like a year before I could be like, hey, do you want to get a drink with me? And they would go with me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And I started smiling when you said this part of the trust, right? So when you interacted with, and for the purpose of the conversation, of a Canadian, and then they have decided that you're already their friends, right? So we're coming with all this luggage, you know, with all these experiences that make us a little bit more, it will take us more time to trust, take more time to process information in order to decide who we should or can trust. But I think you also make reference to very important aspects such as the influence of these borders that are created not only through the lands, but also through the interactions that we have. Although we are in a society and in communities that are so multicultural and so diverse, we still rely so much in institutions, rely so much in the so-called Canadian experience, and sometimes erase all this experience that comes with us, you know, like as you know, as an artist, as a photographer, you are this wealth of knowledge that is coming into the country, and that doesn't remove the fact that you already have the knowledge, but for some reason, what occurs is that is like, okay, you are back to being an emerging artist, right? And so that is an aspect that, of course, will also have an influence in how we can approach the world, how can we also experience the world, and how that will necessarily impact our mental health and our well-being. So thank you very much for sharing that as well. Christiano, how about you?
Sorry, tell me the question again, please.
Yes, so we are talking in relation to the experience of isolation, and how you know, you actually talk a lot about the aspect of the isolation, the not being able to work in the job that you really wanted to work, and how you were sad because you didn't really have a lot of people that support you. So we talk about the isolation, and so that we are transforming that into what it means to have an impact on our mental health through our experience of migration.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Yeah. So basically, what I found is, like, you come as an adult to another country, starting again. Basically, you know, it's if you don't have good social skills. I mean, I do have some good social skills, but if someone don't have good social skills, they won't make friends easily, right? I'm talking about good friends, like not someone who just like chit chat here and there. I found that for me, I have a lot of friends on my field, which was construction. You know, when I was working construction, or any other job I was doing, and there was nothing related to art. I mean, there was good friends to have too. Don't get me wrong, and some of them I still have friends until today. For me, friends are friends, but the most important thing is family, number one. You know, and I didn't have that, and sometimes if you're going through a lonely situation or if you're going to struggle, you don't want to just call a friend and, you know, it's better for you to reach out to a family member. But then if you don't have a family, you have to go to your friends, right? But I did found this isolation thing happen to me many times. You know, I would be feeling, you know, not having that connection. If I wanted to be around artists, people, you know, like people that I can network, that can help me go to the next level, right? In my art. I didn't have that for many years. So I find now that I'm in the situation I am now, that I managed to get some success in my art, that I found people that gravitated towards me to network with me. And I always have an open arms for those people and have my door open for them, because I've been there before. I knew what it feels like when you don't have, you know, those kind of people in your life to help you. Yeah. So I've been through that for years, and it was not fun.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for making reference to this, which is such a great way to go into another very important question or topic of conversation. And I'm going to acknowledge that it is already 3:07, which means that we have been in this conversation for a little bit more than 1 hour. And I realized, you know, the amount of emotional labor that happens in this conversation, because we share very personal aspects of our lives. So I thank you for that. And as we move into the next question, which is basically one that probably will take us to almost a closing, will be because you have these experiences, not only from the perspective of relocating, settling in the new country, and explaining the different aspects of intersectionality that happen in your particular experiences. What will be this one thing that you will share with communities where newcomers, immigrants, refugees arrived? And to organizations, what will be the one thing that you will tell them us to do differently to better support the experience of settlement of these artists that are coming with their artistic dreams, and that we know for sure that are going to contribute to the wonderful and diverse mosaic of Toronto? So what will be your advice or your comments to organizations and communities? And whomever wants to start, let's try that out.
I can start maybe.
Sure.
I would say for people that the new immigrants, I would say this is what I did, and I would advise them to fight for their dreams, fight for doing what they love, because I find the most important thing is to do what you love. If you're doing what you love, it feels like no work. It feels like not really working, because it's something you love to do. So fight for that and create opportunities, because there is opportunities out there. So, and you just have to find them. They are out there. So I remember, I just want to tell a quick story. I remember a good friend of mine who has nothing to do, he's not related to art at all. He's totally different field. And he saw me fighting for getting work as an artist. And I was not getting anything for years. I'm not talking about a few months, I'm talking about years and years and years. And I'm always like there working construction and not getting work as an artist. And he said to me, Christiano, wake up. This is not for you. Like, can't you see that this is hard? It's not, you know, like, it's not happening. Just keep doing your job, make your money, and to be independent. But you just wake up. There's nothing there as an art. And then I told him, this is a dream. Like, I mean, I really want this. Then I didn't listen to him because he's like a non-sayer, right? Although he's a friend, but he's just was not like supporting my dream. So, and then I keep in my journey, which eventually I made it happen. So that's one thing I would say for people, that there is opportunities out there. They just have to find it and fight it. And then for the organizations as well, they also believe in us, because we are just like, you know, we have our challenges as well. And it's you know, we have less opportunities for coming here from scratch, for not having connections, for, you know, like not going to school here, or maybe going to school as a later, when you're older, right? So, and just believe in us, and we have lots to offer. No, we have not only to offer skills, but we also have a whole culture behind us that we learn, that we can bring to the table and help to enrich the culture here. You know, that's one thing I'd say. A lot of people, they dismiss that. They don't, when they speak someone with the accent, someone has an accent, they don't realize that that person has, you know, like hundreds and even thousands of years of culture attached to them, you know, just by having an accent. You know, that's beautiful. So, you know, I have a whole culture of Brazil and myself that I learned growing up there. And I can bring that as a positive thing to add here to the culture here. So the organization should consider that and, you know, give more opportunity for the immigrants. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you very much for that. That is extremely powerful and absolutely true. Thank you very much. Who would like to go next?
Okay, I go next. What I believe is in very, very bad situations, we become very creative problem solvers, actually, because when we imagine ourselves as having nothing, having nobody around us, you become very creative. So you start solving your problems on your own. So I guess one of the most important things that I can tell the immigrants, the new immigrants to the country, especially for the people who are interested in art, is trying to, let's say, magnify what they are gaining rather than crying over what they have lost, you know, and trying to be hopeful in what they are doing. And as Christiano said, try to fight for what they believe in themselves, you know, and they find a way, they will find a way. It may take time, but everybody finds the way to, you know, to be the best of himself or herself. So, and another thing is try to search a lot for what is happening in the new country. For example, if somebody wants to exhibit their work, try to find the galleries. If somebody wants to do the murals, try to find the organizations that they help. Maybe many people say no to you, but finally you will find someone who says yes. So they shouldn't, you know, lose hope and just keep going.
Elsa, thank you very much for sharing such a hopeful and such encouraging message, particularly because, as you said, sometimes it feels really hard, but you say count, instead of count your losses, start counting your gains, right? Yeah. And start looking forward to what is ahead of you. That is absolutely true, and I think it's just a testament of the resiliency of those with any type of displacement experience, because the truth is that even from the experiences that you're sharing, we understand, or I understand, that there is you know, the component of displacement that is, you know, necessary because of the conditions, but also it could be a forced displacement, which also make things even tougher, you know, if in the context of the individual's reality. So thank you very much for that, and for that message of hope that we need now more than ever, you know, not only from the perspective of what we know and have experienced as immigrants, but also for what we are going through as a collective. And I hope you have noticed that I share Elsa's work while she was talking, because it's such a powerful piece on the moment where she was speaking on, you know, try to play with things and figure out things and become even more creative. Use everything that you have in your hands. And you are a testament to that, Elsa. So thank you very much for that. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you. Leone, how are you?
Oh, good. Actually, I was really glad that you shared Elsa's work, because even just hearing your story and then looking at the work, and I think it was really powerful like understanding that every day you were taking a photo and you were showing up, and it was just the way that displays like kind of a contentment with yourself as well in those spaces, even if it's different from what you imagined, it's I don't know, it's very evident. I guess I would say that one of the best things, and I'm seconding everybody else, is how powerful hope is, and how powerful having a will to make something happen, regardless of whether or not those opportunities actually exist for you or not. There's something about that same creativity of making that opportunity come together. And I think when you're a creative thinker and you're an artist, we just have that way of seeing things that nobody else can see. And that's the value that we have when we come to the table. You see all the time, the artists move to neighborhoods and, you know, they see value in that neighborhood that other people don't see. They see opportunities, they beautify, they piece things together. And that's what creates that value. That's what creates that opportunity. And I love what Christiano was doing. He understood that it's not easy. And so he's built a company that opens it up for other people to also then have an opportunity. So it's this like building. So I would say that if you're in this situation now and you're going through it, just knowing that the reason why you have that in you is the potential of that making an impact that doesn't go out. And I truly believe that it's there for a reason. And I don't want to sound like fluffy, but I legitimately think that it's such a valuable thing to know that you have skills and that you contribute, and regardless of whether or not those opportunities exist, there are ways that you can piece it together to make it a thing, and that will eventually draw attention and draw investment and draw support. I think for organizations, what I really appreciate is the amount of mentorship programs and even just like opportunities that are kind of low barrier. I think about the box project, like out of the box project with street art. I heard about it. Okay, I like the fact that that is an entry point into street art is so incredible, because elsewhere, how else? It's very difficult to get like an outside wall and to talk to people and to convince them that you can paint without any experience in that regard. So that's an incredible way that the city's supporting emerging artists and really anybody who has the skills that moves to Canada that can and Toronto that can participate in, which is amazing. And mentorship is amazing because it connects people to people who are already established or at least one step ahead, and it allows them to be connected to different communities and find people that understand them. And I think that was one of the biggest parts for me, was connecting with people, finding those people that are doing things, being inspired, creating partnerships and like collaborating, that kind of thing. And I guess that would be my advice.
Thank you very much for that as well. Such important message, you know, and I know that you were saying, well, I don't want to sound fluffy. Well, it's not fluffy at all. It's actually very important to recognize that we come here with, you know, with all this energy and with all this creative energy that needs to be placed at service of the communities that now we are part of, and that this also allows to develop a sense of belonging, a sense of identity with the new space where we live, you know, where we are no longer the other. We're no longer those strangers with strong accents, but that we are also active contributors of the empowerment of the communities where we live. And that's such a powerful message. I am extremely grateful. And as I said at the very beginning, truly, truly honored to be in the presence of the three of you with such a amount of wisdom, but also with such a openness to be vulnerable, to share with many of us your experiences that I'm 100% sure that will resonate to many, many people, not only artists, but immigrants, newcomers, refugees in general. And I believe today, more than ever, this message is important, a message of hope, a message of it is okay, we're going to be okay, keep dreaming, keep working towards those dreams and those things that you want to be keep working in you, which is the message that Elsa gave us. Work on you, believe in you. And so that's so important at this moment. We at Muse Art are extremely happy and honored to have worked for the past 4 months in the production and creation of this online series, Artist Wellness. We were working every month to bring in this series to life so we can hold the space to talk about important topics such as activism, art, gender, and migration and relocation, as is our theme today. Very grateful with the Street Art Toronto for such a leadership in supporting each one of us. I think what we all have in common is that we have found in Street Art a program that believe on us and the ability that we have to create, to produce, and to be givers. Not only receivers of services, but givers. So we all share that. And with that, we thank every single person that have joined us this afternoon. We wish you all have a wonderful day and that the rest of the week and the months to come are ones where you and all your loved ones are safe. We hope we can connect with each other in a near future and that soon we can get together and continue building those communities that we believe in and that we envision. Thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of the week.